Hey, it is Avi from JustWriteMusic.com. It is an honor to have you with me here today. Many of us write music in the box, and that's absolutely fine. But those of us who have also written music on an instrument may have kind of noticed a little bit more of a musical quality or a human quality to the music. Whether you already write music and are new to an instrument, or if you're new to music and writing entirely, today I'm going to give you 3 instruments which I think are the absolute best to write music on. Before we dive in, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and bell below for more videos helping you stay sane and just write music. Ooh, gross, I hated that. As I mentioned, I personally feel this more intensely than maybe other people do. I feel like there's always this type of human musicality, whatever that means, to music that has been written on an instrument, which up until very recently was all music. Personally, I think it comes down to limitations. They say limitations breed creativity, and I think instruments are a great example here because every instrument in the real world has physical limitations that they literally cannot break. But what instrument should you learn? And which is the best to write from? I'm gonna go over 3 instruments that I think are the best for writing music. I'm gonna do all the work for you so you can just pick one that resonates with you and just get right to writing. Right to writing. English sucks. All right, the first instrument I would like to cover, the first instrument I think is fantastic to write some music on is the bass, whether that's an upright bass or a bass guitar. This may sound a little weird at first, like I said, but stay with me, I promise. This is a solid instrument to write music on. Just ask Steve Harris, the bassist and lead songwriter of Iron Maiden. Yeah. One of the most powerful roles of the bass is that being the lowest note, it dictates the voicing of a chord or the harmonic structure of a chord. And being a string instrument, you can do double and triple stops or quadruple stops if you really want to. Sound out some basic chords and make sure that the harmonies you're writing are actually what you intend to write. It's not uncommon for music that's written on a bass or written with the bass in mind to feature more interesting and melodic bass parts. That's pretty obvious, I feel like. I don't know why I said that. This is possible due to what we just mentioned. We can achieve more melodic parts in the bass line by utilizing inversions, and inversions change the harmonic structure or the voicing of a chord. In all seriousness, creating stepwise motion in the bass is dependent on using inversions, and it sounds really fantastic, and this is a great way to create a refined and contrapuntal sound in your arrangements. Something that's really great about the bass is that it has a fairly low learning curve. This makes it pretty easy to just pick it up and start playing songs fairly quickly. But this is both a good thing and a bad thing because anybody can pick up the bass guitar and start playing. It doesn't help that bass is also fairly commonly overlooked in general music production, so a lot of really crappy bass players can actually skate by pretty far until they're in a more professional setting and they're being asked to record to a click in the studio. And just like any other instrument, the same musicianship skills and theory applies. Gaining proficiency really isn't any easier, but starting on that path is a little bit easier. That being said, having some easy victories in the beginning is huge, and the bass is very kind in that regard. All right, first instrument, the bass. We did it, guys. One and done. I mean, well, we're not done, but we got one. Great for determining harmony, great for reharmonizing chords, and a solid footing for arranging and fleshing out your music. Okay, really cool. The next instrument we're going to cover is the guitar. The guitar is definitely one of the most popular and versatile instruments in the world. This is because the guitar is exceptional at all the things needed to functionally write music. It's an extraordinarily capable harmonic instrument, which means you can play basically any single chord imaginable. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's a limit. I don't know. The 6 strings of the guitar give us a ton of options in what notes we want to play and what order we want to play them in. This gives us the ability to be pretty damn exact with our writing, which makes extrapolating into larger ensembles during demoing and producing and production much easier. It wasn't until recently that we saw the rise of the guitar as a more melodic instrument, however, at least in modern days. I'm sure there was like some period in history where everyone was playing guitar and doing guitar solos and stuff. If you've listened to any type of rock or jazz or guitar-based music, really, you're completely aware of how awesome it is And how awesome it is. Yeah. Just period. Done. End of video. End of section. Going on to the next one. You're well aware of how great the guitar is for writing riffs and solos and melodies. Not just that, the guitar is great for demoing harmonies, whether that's vocal harmonies or more guitar harmonies, or just figuring out the voicing of a chord. The range of the guitar is massive and can help you differentiate between different sections of a song. This is achieved through this contrast of register. And one of the best examples of that is guitar solos, which are predominantly on like the higher frets of the instrument and on the higher strings. Guitar does have a bit of a learning curve, however. I should know this, I've been teaching it for years. There are lots and lots of chord shapes to memorize and to be proficient in switching between. It takes a good deal of time and practice on the guitar before you're able to play with decent tone. Moreover, learning musicianship skills and practical theory on the guitar is not super straightforward. All the frets kind of look the same, and it's hard to figure out which notes are where. The interval to which they're tuned isn't even consistent either, like it is on other string instruments like the violin or the bass or the viol. Like all the other string instruments have the same interval between their strings. The guitar, not so much. We have fourth, 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 third, fourth again. This is why, despite guitar being an extremely popular instrument, it's also really common to see people giving up on their practice or just kind of being okay with where they are and deciding that they're not going to like actively get better anymore. A classic for writing songs, excels at both harmony and melody, but isn't the easiest to learn to play. Solid. Well, here we are, we're up to our third one. What could possibly be better than the guitar for writing music? And I'm sure you know what I'm about to say. The piano or keyboard. In my opinion, and the opinion of a lot of academics that I usually don't agree with, the piano or the keyboard is by far the best instrument to write music from. I think this holds true both historically and in the present day. This is because no other instrument allows you to play so many notes at the same time and offers you such a plethora of different textures and options and all the things. There's a reason why harmony and theory is often taught at the keyboard. It gives us a fantastic visualization of what are natural notes and what are accidental notes, and they never change. It's all, the C always looks like a C. It's never going to change. It's never going to change position. Like on the guitar, you have a C on the 3rd fret of the A string, and you also have a C on the 5th fret of the G string, and you also have a C on the 8th fret of the low E string, and you also have a C on the 13th fret of the B string, and it just keeps going on like this. Not so on the piano. It all looks the same. Sometimes those frets are dotted, sometimes those frets are not dotted, and you are the one that has to keep track of all of it. Not so on the piano. As I mentioned earlier, we can also use all of our fingers to create chords. 10! That's a lot of notes and a lot of ways to use them. The piano also makes spread voiced chords much easier to play than, say, on the guitar or on the bass, or really any other instrument except for maybe harp, I guess, or marimba. There's no pesky strings to reach over or that you have to block or bar. None of that. You're done. The piano or keyboard is also the best instrument for creating or performing reductions of larger ensembles, as well as extrapolating into larger ensembles, whether that's a rock band instrumentation or a string quartet or a huge freaking like orchestra. It runs the gamut. It runs it, the whole gamut. Because we're able to hit 10 notes at a time, that essentially gives us a 10-piece ensemble, like a chamber ensemble. That makes voice leading and counterpoint crazy important, because so many notes, you gotta know what to do with them. You gotta know how to make a move. If you can get those down and comfortable on the piano, you can write for anything, literally anything. Any instrument, you can write anywhere, anytime. You just have to know the range and characteristics of the instrument and the timbre, whether or not it's going to be useful for that section. I could go on, but I'm not going to, because it's not that video. We're doing a different video. Some of the most gorgeous melodies that you've ever heard were most likely written first on a piano. That's a bold statement, which, screw it, prove me wrong. The instrument is really ergonomic to play, and the ability to use both our hands makes it easy to harmonize a melody. Left hand harmony, right hand melody. Easy peasy. But we can do even more than that. Not only can you use your left hand for harmony and your right hand for melody, but you've got more than you've got 5 fingers on your right hand. You can not just play a melody, but create a counter melody or a harmony part below it on the same hand. while you're still plunking out doing chords and arpeggios and textures and stuff on your left hand. That's a lot. That's a lot that you're able to do on the piano. As you gain proficiency, you'll be able to use polyphonic textures and create counter melodies, like I was just saying, all at the same time. It's nuts. Now, this is possible to do on the guitar, the polyphonic textures and creating counter melodies and all that, but it is very limited compared to the piano. It's also not as useful in the popular genres that we tend to hear on the radio today. Now, okay, I just spent a lot of time being like, wow, the piano is the greatest instrument. But I hated learning the piano. I don't even consider myself a keyboardist or pianist. I hated learning it, despite loving the instrument. Seriously, despite its usefulness, I couldn't stand it. Not as a kid when I was 8 years old and I was taking lessons, and not as a college student where they forced me to learn piano in order to get my degree. Yeah, they forced me, even though I was already proficient on guitar. Yes, they make you learn piano in music school. There's a reason why parents start their kids so early on the piano, because it's hard. And kids are crazy good at learning, like crazy good at learning. All of those really awesome options that I was just talking about come at the price of a high learning curve. Learning how to make your hands do all the different things is a slow and gradual process. More so, in my opinion, than in other instruments, especially if you're not starting from like the age of 6 or something. Now, most of what I've been saying applies more to like classical music and maybe like musicals and orchestras and film scores and things like that than any other instrument because of its usefulness in interfacing with a computer. If you can play a piano or a keyboard, just plug your keyboard into your computer and you have an insane amount of sounds at your disposal. Any instrument you could think of, any soundscape you could even imagine. Even better, if you have any actual piano technique and keyboard technique, all of that's going to carry over. So whatever you record is going to have these voice leading and these counterpoint rules baked into them because of the pianistic playing. In terms of genre and in terms of just sheer ability to do whatever you want, the keyboard is by far the best instrument to write music from. Even if you already play an instrument, having a working knowledge of the keyboard will help you tremendously. There's a reason why they force you to learn piano in music school, and there's a reason why, by and large, composers and songwriters of all kinds tend to gravitate towards the piano as the instrument of choice to write on. So there you go, 3 of the best instruments that you can write on, at least in my opinion. This is by no means a hot take or revolutionary or innovative or anything like that. Just a quick overview of how each of these instruments might lend itself to your writing process, and hopefully you resonate with one of them. I really hope you got something out of this. Do you write music primarily in the box or on the computer, or do you usually write on an instrument? Let me know down in the comments below. If you're looking for some proven tools to help you step up your melody game, check out my free guide, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody. These tips are crazy helpful and can easily bring any melody to life, no matter the genre. Head to justwritemusic.com. There's a link down in the doobly-doo. Thank you so much for watching. I've got some really great videos in the works, and I'm super excited to share them with you. So please hit the subscribe button and bell, as well as hitting the like button, because the YouTube things, right? Yeah. I'm Avi from justwritemusic.com, and don't forget to be awesome. Peace out.